to another episode of Reconstructing Reality on Activism Munich. I'm your host, Gideon Gottfried, and I'm happy to welcome Golden Misabiko on the program tonight. Golden Misabiko is a human rights activist born and raised in Congo. He's the president of the human rights initiative Association Africaine de Defense des Droits de l'Homme. And Golden Misabiko exposed the dark secrets of his own government a couple of times and went to prison for it. In 2000, he revealed that his government under Laurent-Désiré Kabila executed 8 rebels without trial. And as a consequence, Misabiko was detained and tortured for almost a year because the Congolese government tried to set an example, obviously. But Golden Misabiko did not cave in. In 2009, he published a report detailing the Congolese government's involvement in the illegal mining of uranium. He also revealed that the government had come to a secret agreement with the French nuclear energy corporation Areva, allowing it to search and mine uranium in Congo. Again, he was detained, sent to prison, and tortured. Thanks to Amnesty International and international support, Misabiko was freed in August of 2009 and left South Africa. For his remarkable actions, Golden Misabiko was presented with the Nuclear Free Future Award in late last year. And he's still living in exile. His wife and children weren't allowed to leave the country with their father or his husband, respectively. So it is a real pleasure to have you on our show today. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
So maybe as a start, could you tell us what's the current status? Are you still living in exile? How's your family? Are you allowed to see them at all?
Since September 13, 2009, I was forced to go to exile through South Africa. And ever since, my family hasn't been built. I haven't been allowed to live with my family, either in exile or in back home, because I'm not allowed. I'm targeted by the Kinshasa regime. If ever I return to Congo, absolutely, they are going to harm me and put me back to prison, or they are going to kill me. So I'm still in exile. But I don't stop doing my work to promote, to protect human dignity and the world. So I'm in exile and I'm doing my work as if I was in my country, Congo. So nothing has totally taken away what I have inside of me to see Congo, to see Africa, to see the world, the better place to live.
When was your interest in human rights issues? You grew up in Congo, so when did that happen?
Thank you for the question. It is really a long history to tell you where I started feeling I have to be doing something to promote, to protect, and to defend human dignity. You know, Congo is a country that hasn't known any peace at all. So we grew up seeing rebellions around us, seeing people with the spears, with the arrows, with the guns, who were motivated by political causes, who were for this group of political group who were for this other group, and the Congolese have been suffering those things for a long time, and I believe that might be part of my beginning of defending people's right to live like other people in the world. I myself, when I was still young, I was suffering the terrible things, terrible mistreatment by the regimes. I knew Mobutu regime. I suffered a lot of all sorts of humiliation, and many people were suffering along with me. So I had that inner call from the fact that I was growing, and I grew in the environment that needed somebody like me to say, stop doing this thing, to try to organize other people to say, let's make this Congo become a country that is it's like other countries, where people can walk, where people can have a job, where children can go to school, where people are supposed to be arrested for some unknown reasons.
And when did the uranium issue become a part of your life? In my 20s, when I was about 20 years old, I was living in Lubumbashi, and Lubumbashi is not far from Shinkolobwe. Shinkolobwe is the place where most uranium, Congolese uranium comes from. Maybe it's not yet time to tell you that the uranium that was used to make nuclear bomb, atomic bomb, came from that place. So I was in Lubumbashi, not far from Shinkolobwe, this site, uranium site, mining site. So I saw pictures of how uranium atomic bomb is dangerous. I saw pictures and I heard about where this came from. I knew it came from there. I knew that it is not good to continue mining that uranium. And also, I saw that place, I read that place where they were mining uranium was always guarded by the troops with guns. So it was like as if we were at war because of that mining. Nobody would be allowed to go that side. Well, and I said, well, there's something wrong. And sometimes I would hear people talk about uranium, that they are selling uranium that they've stolen. And I read in the books and say, well, uranium is bad, it's a terrible thing. If they allow some people to get that uranium or to get close, that means that we are in danger. And I had a time to talk with other doctors of a university clinic who said, uranium is terrible, dangerous. I was curious and I asked them. They say, yes, we had an experience of somebody here who had stolen uranium somewhere, and his arm had to be amputated because he had a radiation. I did not believe that, but they said that his arm was cut. So I started saying, this is terrible. And also, then I said that if uranium is dangerous, that means
even the population around where this mining is dangerous. And I thought of the Sanga people, the local communities of the indigenous of the area where this big mining of the uranium was being done. So it was kind of a secret. People don't talk about that, but it exists. Yeah, we knew that it was dangerous. We knew that it was dangerous. So I just said that somebody had to start talking about this, and I started talking about that since a long time ago.
And it sort of reached a first climax, you could say, in 2009, when you exposed the secret agreement between your government and the French nuclear energy company, what's Areva.
Areva.
Could you briefly summarize the content of this agreement?
First, I would like to tell you that living in Lubumbashi, we have to have an eye on the mining activities in the province and on that uranium mining site, which is Shinkolobwe. One thing I'd like to tell you is this. In my mind, I knew that uranium mining is bad. And also, I said that we don't want any form of uranium mining industry in Congo, because my reason was that the river Congo comes from Katanga and not very far from the uranium site, which is Shinkolobwe. The river Congo comes from there, and the river Congo is what we need for the rainforests, which with Amazon are very important for the world, as the lungs of the world. So I said to myself that if anybody comes to develop uranium again, mining again in Shinkolobwe, it will be a terrible thing for the whole world, because we may run the risk of polluting or irradiate the river Congo, and that will have a lot of consequences on us. And we had a lot of contact with our other friends in Niger, where the mining industry, including Areva, is operating. So I said unto myself, this is dangerous. When I heard that Areva was coming to Congo to negotiate, not Areva only, the former president of France, Mr. Nicolas Sarkozy, and Anne Lauvergeon, who was the lady who was the head at that time, the head of Areva. When I heard that they came to Congo, and there were a lot of information that they were coming to sign an agreement to exploit uranium on all Congo's territory, including Shinkolobwe. Even if they were talking about going to all the Congolese territory to explore uranium, to explore uranium, but the major idea of this business was in Katanga, on Shinkolobwe, because the uranium of Shinkolobwe is very rich. I tell you, it's 65% of the concentration. If you take one stone, that stone contains 65% of uranium. While other places in the world, like Canada, you have a 19. Okay. It's the second. Can you imagine to develop that uranium industry in that area is a terrible thing, because we were doing everything to close it, that mining. That's why after World War II, because of what had happened in Japan, in Nagasaki and in Hiroshima, they had closed that with the concrete, to close it, because it's dangerous. If it falls into the hands of a bad and of terrorists, it's a terrible thing. A stone, 65% of concentration. Great. So when I heard that this Areva and the former president of America, of France, Mr. Nicolas Sarkozy, and Anne Louvergeon of Areva, I just said, well, this is not possible. We don't want it this year. First, it's dangerous to develop nuclear industry from Katanga. It's from Katanga, where the river comes from. We need to protect the river, and we need to protect our equator. The other thing is that this should be debated in the parliament. By the way, they came on in March 2006. No, I'm saying, let me say this. They came in March 26, 2009. I repeat again. They came to Congo, Kinshasa, on March 26, 2009, to come to get this agreement with the Congolese government on March 26, 2009. They signed this contract. It was so fast, and it was so easy to get this agreement that themselves they were kind of not, without believing. They said they had enough. Nicolas Sarkozy said he had never had such an agreement in France. Areva had never had such easy agreement. He said that. Anne Louvergeon said that. And they did not spend the night in Kinshasa. They spent the night in Congo-Brazzaville, in Brazzaville. So,
they were afraid, do you think?
If they were afraid, I mean, they found the environment of Congo not good to spend the night, but at least, but at the same time, they had a wonderful agreement to explore and to exploit uranium on all Congo's territory. They said it on a Radio France International. They said they were just jubilating and said, no, this is terrible. They did not debate in the parliament. They did not ask the civil society, as we, to say something. We can't agree. Report. I issued a report. It was like a bomb, an atomic bomb. They said, well, this man is dangerous. We arrest him because all the interests have been disturbed.
I mean, it is, you see it all around the world, people being put into prison, or at least efforts are made to get hold of them, like Edward Snowden, who also exposed wrongdoings of his company, or we interviewed Annie Marchand a couple of months ago. She was ex-MI5. She exposed what her company was doing, and instead of putting the criminals into prison, the people exposing the crimes, they go to prison. Now in America and Britain, there is a law. It says if you expose government secrets, you go to prison. Is there a law in Congo, or was it arbitrary? They just took you?
Congo is a country without law. It's a country with a terrible corruption. And if anybody is going to do business now to Congo, he might be involved in that corruption in Congo. Congo is the last country in the world as far as the human development is concerned. Congo is the last country of the world. So there is no domain that is good in Congo now as we are talking. If you talk about justice, there's no, I don't want to say there's no justice, but it's a country with immorality. When I was arrested, the prosecutor told me that he had the order to kill me. He will keep me in prison until I die. The order from the president. How can you imagine that a prosecutor, a judge, who is supposed to say the justice, to protect justice, how can you see, how can you, it's not acceptable that those people who are to protect justice are the ones who are saying, who are being used to do people wrong. So Congo has no justice. They can put you to jail today. Now they are just arresting anybody who says that we don't want that regime in Kinshasa, is just being put to jail. You can read in all the information. You see how much. And the European Union is saying that arbitrary arrestation and harassment and intimidation against opposition and the civil society leaders are unacceptable. So, talking about justice in the Congo is just wasting time because it's a country without law. Those who are in power are exactly the out of law people. So no justice in Congo. Okay.
So the only reason you could get out was through, I guess, Amnesty International played a huge part?
Pressure, big pressure. And I'm telling you, Amnesty International, all international organization, including when Madam Hillary Clinton was coming to Congo in 2009. He went through South Africa, Burundi, Kenya, and Congo. On her agenda, all the international organization had told her to release the Golden Misabiko, to have that man release the Golden Misabiko. The first point on the agenda was the problem of the women in the east of Congo, north and south, Kivu, and all the east of Congo. The second point on the agenda was to release Golden Misabiko. And the people were amazed because everybody knew that I was going to die. And even the prosecutor told me that he has the order from the president to kill me. But at least that lady came and said, and the pressure was there. They were asking her to say that to that man, not to kill me. Say it now.
So Areva was the cause for everything. They have interests in your country now. What about the promises a foreign country, a foreign corporation makes, about it will bring prosperity to the region? Are there any examples in Africa that show that this claim is true or false?
Unfortunately not. Yeah. It is sad to say that Africa is a continent with a wonderful potential of natural resources. But we have observed that in general, all the natural resources are being exploited for the benefit of the industry, of the industries, for the benefit of the multinationals that came to kind of invest, but they are not involved in social development. No. And also they are coming to Africa to invest. They bring their capitals to get these minerals, these natural resources. In exchange, they help those dictators that are in Africa to remain in power as much as they can, and these multinationals get as much minerals as they want. And this is the practice of corruption that is in Congo, and in Africa, in Congo, don't talk. And this has been there for a long time. These multinational, they come just to support the regimes that are not democratic. And they get what they can get. There's no exception. And also, I would like to tell you that these multinationals are also contributing not to allow democracy to develop. Because in democracy, if the democracy were developed, there would be debate in the parliament, there would be debates among the civil society leaders, and they would question about how much this multinational is getting, how much money this multinational is bringing to Congo. But what we see in Africa, most multinational come and the income from these activities are kind of a taboo. And the most money go into the pockets of the person in the power. And in the Congo, for instance, they want to create this environment of chaos, anarchy. And it is in this environment of chaos and anarchy where these people in power with their friends outside are getting money. There are newspapers. There are magazines that show that this president who is in Kinshasa has already over 16 billions of US dollars in the Western, in the world, whether in Switzerland or in the British Virgin Islands. Can you imagine? You only one person with a collaboration with your multinationals, you have 16 billion, while children can't go to school because they don't have school, and you have 16 billion. No hospital because and the women with pregnant women can't give birth in a good condition because there are no maternity places, infrastructures, no road. Children go to school without shoes and on foot. 15 kilometers per day, 20 kilometers per day in the country that is potentially rich, capable to build buses, to build schools, to pay buses for children. And yes, because most minerals that is being used in the world, most coming from Congo. I mean, from Africa, particularly Congo. Do you know that the Congo is the country that has the most of a deposit of the minerals, including Colombo tantalite, which is coltan, the one that is being used in most of telephones in this world. Yes, from Congo. And the people with this multinational who always wanted to be chaos there because they get mineral cheaper in a chaos environment. That's why we need to work with the other civil society of a Western world to say, no, what's happening in Africa is unacceptable. What's happening in Congo is unacceptable. You know, I'm not against Europe, but I would like to say that we need more. We need another solidarity. This is my philosophy, my ideology, is that we need another solidarity which is more economic. The first solidarity was when Africa was disturbed by slavery. People stood up in the world and said slavery is bad. Even if there are some slaves somewhere in the world, in Africa, or in the world, yeah, we can. But at least, at least now I want to finish. At least they came to that point. First, solidarity. Second, solidarity. Colonialism. People saw that the colonialism was bad. They made a solidarity. Say, let's stop that. To also stop that. Now, to answer your question, now we need solidarity for economic situation in Africa, to develop Africa in a sustainable manner. Can you go ahead?
I didn't want to interrupt you. I just feel like the solidarity part is part of the solutions, like what we need in the future.
Yeah.
So I would like to get to that in the end a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But for now, you already mentioned the consequences it has for the population that the wealth isn't redistributed amongst them.
No.
But there are other consequences too, resulting of the mining of uranium, not just materialistic ones, but health issues as well. You already mentioned that arms had to be amputated. Back then you weren't sure whether to believe it. What can you say now about the health issues on the one side and the environmental issues on the other side?
All uranium mining, all uranium industry is the enemy number one of the environment. I had the opportunity to travel to Niger, where Areva is exploiting uranium. I saw how uranium mining is terribly affecting water system, surface or underground water in that country. And it's the same thing in other countries where this uranium industry is being carried on. It is the same thing in the card. This Central African Republic, Central Gabon, and so I would like to say here that an enemy number one of air is uranium and industry. It polluted the air. Enemy number one of a soil is the uranium activities, because it destroyed the soil. It polluted the soil and the most needed crops will not grow because of these acids. Because of water gone. I was in Niger. I asked the people, what about water? Say yes. We used to have a water. When we go down about 13 meters, we have a water. But now we have to go down to 150 meters down to get water. You see, the pits of uranium mining is eating all the water. And they need water to make their processing. And it will be on the big area, round, square, surface area. Underground, water, surface, water, air, soil, all are affected by the uranium industry. It's the killer of water, killer of air, the polluter of the environment. And let's not talk about the you need protection, you need but the people, populations and surrounding the mining are not protected. They get lung diseases, coughing, bleeding from the nose. They have they suffer a lot of gas that come from uranium. Uranium gives us a series of gases. At the mining level, you have a gamma ray, beta ray, or a lot of arrays that cause disease. You can have a sinus. And you will end by dying, especially lung cancer has been recorded in the area of uranium mining in Africa, especially in Niger and in Congo, where they are mining illegally. By the way, Congo uranium mining is illegal because we blocked this contract with Areva, but the people, because they know that that uranium on the Shinkolobo, very rich, I told you 65% needed in the world, they would go without protection. They use and because of that, they get sick, they die. And nobody's recording, nobody's reporting on that. It's only recently that women have noticed that they are giving birth to the babies with a horrible malformation. And sometimes the babies are not coming because of the very high radiation of their fetus. You see, I think you see how dangerous it is, this uranium industry.
So to slowly come to an end, this question is probably not even, after all you've told us now, worth asking anymore, but is there any reason whatsoever you could think of for mining uranium?
To allow it or to
do it illegally? Would you suggest if it was legally, there would be a debate and people would decide?
Uranium industry, nuclear industry is dangerous by itself. There's no way it can be allowed anyway. it is dangerous when it is being explored. A lot of consequences at that level. It is dangerous as it is being exploited, say explore and exploited. And it is dangerous when it is being processed to have this yellow cake and almost to enrich it and use it. It is dangerous in nuclear plants. So it's dangerous in Africa, where people are being exploited to exploit it. I use the two terms. People are being exploited. They are mining it without protection. And it comes here, either processed, it's dangerous, and it's used in nuclear plants here, very dangerous again, because it can destroy everything. It can kill everything. It can destroy Europe. Whether used in a civilian plant, it's more dangerous again than atomic bomb. Whether used in nuclear weapons, it's still dangerous. Even when you have to dismantle it, you still have a problem. You don't know what to do with those radioactive dismantled structures. To put them, to bring them down underground where you have a water for life, or you take it to deserts or to ice. I don't know. There's no way nuclear can ever be allowed. Even if a nation says we are intelligent, we can control it. I don't want to name the nation that saw uranium infrastructures burst, and yet they were the smartest nation. So let's not play with the nuclear. It is dangerous. It is dangerous in Germany. It is dangerous in Russia. It's dangerous in Japan. I don't want to name what happened. They know. I don't want to remain. It is dangerous in France because anything can happen there. It is dangerous in Africa. It is dangerous in Congo, where I'm from. That's why I will be talking to say, stop and leave uranium underground. When it's underground, in its natural environment, it's not dangerous. It's the nature contains it. But when you bring it outside, you transform it, nothing controls it. No, nobody has the science to control. It is untamable.
What do you make of Germany's efforts to get away from it?
Well, I've read about what Germany is doing. They heard what happened to March 11, 2011 in Fukushima, Japan. They took a wise decision to say they need to phase out, but to take some time to finish all. I mean, they've closed the nuclear plant. Bravo! But they need to go to continue and they finish with the last one. But the problem which you have here is that, again, how to manage this dismantled, because they remain radioactive, they remain dangerous. Where are you going to put this? To take it to the deserts? So it's really a terrible thing that we need to, this monster, nuclear monster that we allowed to develop, it's really now very difficult to manage. But at least we say, well, Germany accepted to dismantle it, and has already shown some example. And also, as I said, I travel and I see how they are developing wind energy, and solar. It is some alternative that needs to be encouraged, but more has to be done. Yes. More has to be done to really have sustainable energy industry. Maybe it will be solar. Maybe it will be mineral. Yeah, we've seen and we've come from this international convention on the environment. We've seen that people are making an effort to come with a sustainable alternative, and we hope that the nuclear is going to be closed totally here in Germany, and we will enjoy the closure. When they close the last plant, we'll be happy, and then we will have to know where this dismantled equipments, infrastructures are going to be kept, because okay. Mm-hmm.
What are the alternatives that are available in Africa?
The same campaign we are here in the Europe. The same campaign we are in Africa, to say that nuclear industry needs to be closed, because it's not developing us at all. I tell you that Niger is the 4th producer of uranium in the world, but this country is the last but one. So 187th country in development. Okay. So the 4th producer of uranium of the world, France. You see, when you see that every third bulb light of France is from Niger. But you see this country that's producing this, but it's the last of the world. Why should Niger be encouraged to accept uranium industry? Why? It is not developed. There's almost nothing on the national budget of the country from uranium. But leave it. You can still get more money in raising animals on the area where Areva is producing uranium than allowing it to develop uranium, and you don't have anything. On the contrary, you kill it. You destroy your underground water. So this example is the one I'm taking everywhere in Africa to say, stop that. First, it's dangerous and doesn't develop you. Maybe they develop other people, not you. Not any country in Africa. South Africa is a nuclear country, uranium. It developed uranium mining extraction and also uranium plants. But South Africa is getting into trouble. First, they don't know to handle the waste of of those nuclear military nuclear plants that were dismantled. It's difficult to manage them. And also the mines uranium extraction sites in South Africa haven't been well managed. They are still causing a lot of problems on environment, a lot. So we need to say it openly, stop uranium industry, stop nuclear industry. We don't want that in Africa. It's not helping us. Let's move to wind, to this. Happy to hear that one day that some people who will listen to this have come together and say, what can we do for that man who have been working to protect the whole humanity? I'll be happy to hear that people have come with their initiative. But for me on my side, I would like such emission, such broadcasting, such program be multiplied, so that the messages can go. The message is easy. Stop nuclear industry, because in nuclear industry includes uranium. First, you have uranium, and uranium is what is used as a fuel to develop nuclear industry. Stop it. It's dangerous. Very near, a very short message. Send it. So this is my contribution, and this is more efficient than giving me some euro to. Yes, I may need it, but first is this program, because it's better to speak to journalists like you, me, as I understand this story, than to speak to other people who are not journalists, who are just there to say, yes, you've done a wonderful job. But journalists, if you speak to one, you are like you speak to 1 million people, because there will be broadcasting. So I'm very happy that I'm with you, because the message is gone. Stop nuclear industry, including uranium industry, and also to leave uranium underground.